Right, hello everybody. Welcome to the first ever Spurs podcast. So we've got a few topics that we're going to go on about here today. Starting off with the elephant in the room. Tottenham, I'm sorry, but that was shambolic. Your last home game of the season, and that's what you produce. Like, I'm sorry, how can you dominate in the first half as much as we did? Dominate in the first half, right? We had I think 5 shots on target in the first half. We had 1 goal. Well, it has been the tale of our season. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I am so embarrassed as a Spurs fan to watch that constantly. Ever since Conte left, things have never been the same. Ever since he had that massive implosion when he was slagging off the players, saying everything that's wrong with the team. Do you know what? A lot of it's right. Like, he's right. There's obviously so much that's going to happen in the summer, guys. There's so much that needs to happen. We need a rebuild. We really do. We need a proper rebuild. We need... I still don't know to this day whether Kane is going to stay. Like, that is going to be the first topic that we're going to talk about today. Do you guys, let me know in the comments below, let me know what you think. Do you think Kane will stay? Or do you think today's game against Brentford was his last home game for us? I feel, with the mural that's outside of the stadium, I don't know whether that's going to be enough to convince the guy to stay. Like, he's given us absolutely everything, and what do we have to show for it? A good thing is Kane has just over 12 months left on his contract. Like, we will start off with that. Kane has 12 months left on his contract, and I do not see him staying to renew it. I'll be shocked if he does, and I will be delighted if he does, but the guy has given absolutely everything to Tottenham. Everything. He's our leading goal scorer. He literally has been scoring week in, week out, regardless of how badly we've played. I genuinely just do not see him staying past this summer. Spurs fans, I'm sorry, and I know we won't want to hear that, but I do not see him staying past this summer. If he does, I'd be so glad I'm wrong. But I genuinely do not see it. Like, the guy's given everything. He really has. And for me, I don't see what makes him stay. Unless at the end of the season, when he has that discussion that he's came out and said he's going to have, at the end of the season with Daniel Levy, and there is a clear picture in a way to move Spurs forward. I just genuinely don't understand what we're going to do that will keep him here. Like, I really don't. We might not even be in Europe next season, guys. We are literally playing that bad. It all stemmed from when Conte had that massive row and called the players out. But, guys, he wasn't wrong. Like, he really wasn't. And for me, I don't know how we're going to keep him. It's going to be such a hard ask to keep him. Whether he'll stay for the next season and just leave on, for nothing. We'll see. It's only time will tell, right? I just genuinely do not understand how we'll go on to keep him. Let me know in the comments below what you think will happen in the summer on the Harry Kane situation. For me, that is Kane's final game at home for us. Like, I genuinely feel that is his final game at home. I just struggle to see how we can convince him to stay. I know he's a family man. I know he has built such a big legacy at Spurs. He's our leading goal scorer. He's broken countless records for us, but I don't understand how we can expect him as Spurs fans. I don't understand how we can honestly expect the man to stay. Like, I genuinely don't, and I feel sorry for him. If he's made to stay, he should go on and win some silverware. Like, he really should. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, where do you go from that? You go from a guy that's scoring 25 plus goals a season. Where do you go from that as a team? Like, I don't know what our aim is next season. It's honestly saddening to see as a Spurs fan. Like, it really is. It's horrible to watch us go from a team that was playing really well towards the end of last season under Conte. Yes, the football was boring, but we were counter-attacking, and the fluidity of our front three was absolutely awesome to see. Son got golden boot. I thought we were going to push on this year, and it's going to be a better year, but yeah, sorry, I got a notification from a good old friend who decides to rub it in as we lost yet again. I genuinely don't see how we are going to maintain anything next season. I think it will come down to what manager we bring in. Like it will. For me, obviously, the two leading candidates are the Arnie Slot from Feyenoord, who just won the league with them. So, you know, he's obviously done a very good job. But for me, I would rather go with Luis Enrique. I know we are talking to him. I don't know whether it's just preliminary talks or, you know, whether he's a keen candidate and he's up there. I don't think Ryan Mason is in with the shout at all. I wouldn't want to see him as manager. I'm sorry, Ryan Mason, you were a decent player for us. You had that horrific injury, but you're too inexperienced. Like, today showed it. We had such a good first half. And we fell apart in the second half. Constant changing of the system. It just wasn't working. And it's been so frustrating to see. Like I say, it's so frustrating to see as a Spurs fan where you've gone from a team that played so well last year to being a team that just crumbled. And it's so disheartening to see. It really is. And I don't know what to say about it. I really don't. It's horrible to watch your team. I've supported this team for over 20 years. I'm 25 this year. I've probably supported them since I was about 5. And it's disheartening to see it all fall apart. Under Poch, we looked like we were finally progressing. You know, we were winning games. We were in finals, a Champions League final, which was ruined by a dodgy handball. We looked like we were finally on the right track. And then we built the stadium. Poch had very limited funds when the stadium was built. And he wasn't backed. He wasn't backed for a year and a half. We didn't sign anyone for almost a year and a half. I don't know how anyone can say that was right. Nobody. People were using the excuse that Daniel Levy and Spurs had no money. We didn't when we built the stadium, but what about the time after that? We had money to give to him. Why didn't you back him? We never backed him, and then we went from defensive manager to defensive manager to defensive manager. Went to Jose. He looked okay for a short period. We got to a final. We should never have sacked him before a final, but we got to a final, and it all just fell apart. Once we sacked him, we brought in Nuno Espirito Santos. Guys, that was probably one of the worst ideas I've ever seen. Why would you bring in a Wolves manager that was good at keeping Wolves up from relegation and had a decent season when, you know, they had Jota, Jimenez, and I think it's Pedro Neto, all performing really, really well. Why on earth would you bring him in at Spurs? It makes no sense. And then we moved on to Antonio Conte, who I thought, oh, you know what? We finally brought in a serial winner. He's won a lot in Italy. Just won the league with Inter the season prior to that. And he's won the league in the Premier League. He won it with Chelsea. The season that we should have won the league was we didn't because of Antonio Conte's Chelsea. But yeah, for me we never progressed after Poch. Went from 3 defensive managers. We lost the DNA that was Tottenham. You know, we played counter attack. We played quick attacking football. We don't always win. Like that's our style of play. We play quick football, and that fell apart. For me, it's just so honestly, it's disheartening to talk about. We went from something that could have gone really well. We were progressing, you know, we were doing quite well, to falling apart, and it's honestly just horrible to talk about. Like, it really is. But anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on from my rant of Tottenham. But guys and girls, if you would like to share this, give it a like and pop the comments in. Let me know your thoughts, because I'm always keen to hear what people have to say about Spurs, what people have to say about our situation, where they think we're going to go in the summer in terms of the rebuild, who we're going to bring in. Like, let me know in the comments. Like the video. Get the YouTube algorithm working. Just give me your honest thoughts. Honestly, just let me know. But yes, we'll move on. So the next subject, obviously, we'll move on to Daniel Levy. The big elephant in the room. And we're going to spend a bit of time talking about him. Mr. Daniel Levy. Why on earth, when you brought Pochettino in, did you not back him? Why did you not back him? We spent the season we got to a Champions League final. We didn't sign anyone. We didn't say he literally said we didn't sign anyone for over a year. Why on earth didn't you? He got you to a Champions League final. He got you to cup finals. He got you to unfortunately finishing third in the league in the season where we should have probably won the league with Leicester, who ended up winning it. We almost won the league in the season when Chelsea won it. We performed ridiculously well, and we were unfortunate not to. But it was Chelsea; they were a powerhouse, and Conte got it perfect. And they went on to be deserved winners. He was beating most teams in his era, in his reign. He developed a great squad in Kane, great squad of players in Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen. Even Victor Wanyama for a long period was brilliant for us. Moussa Dembele, Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen or Supian. Like, we developed so many decent players. Danny Rose and Walker were absolutely brilliant for us. Carl Walker's obviously gone on to win absolutely everything. So, a massive congrats to him. But we just never progressed after that. And it was honestly demoralising to watch how we sacked him because we went on a poor run of form after a Champions League, considering he made no signings. Well, what do you expect him to do? The squad needs a rebuild. He literally said this. You cannot expect him to perform without needing a rebuild. And he knew this squad was stale. He said this many a times. And unfortunately, he never got the rebuild. So he got sacked. They moved on to Jose, who, about 6 months into his tenure, he literally said the same thing. What did Levy do? Not a lot. He brought in a few signings. Brought in the likes of... Yeah, for Jose, brought in the likes of Steven Bergwijn, Sergio Reguilon, Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg, Joe Rodon, Joe Hart. Who else did he bring in? He also brought in Matt Doherty, like Lo Celso. There's so many people he brought in that just did not work. And I don't know what we were expecting. Like, he's a defensive manager, and most of his players was relatively defensive, except for obviously Lo Celso and Bergwijn. But they didn't work. Bergwijn had his moments. Lo Celso was poor. Has been loaned out countless amount of times, and it just didn't work. We then obviously moved on to Nuno Espirito Santos. I don't even want to talk about him. Utter waste of time. And then we moved on to Conte, where everybody was happy. Everybody was looking forward to seeing what Conte could do, because he came in and our form completely changed. In January, he bought the likes of Bentancur, Kulusevski, and guys, I'm not gonna be. We looked a lot better. We were defensively strong, hitting on the counter, playing well on the counter. We were playing good football. I know it's counter-attacking football. We were playing good football. We were fluid. We were attacking. We just looked good. And we got top four in probably a season we probably shouldn't have. Arsenal looked clear to have got top four, and we got it. And honestly, absolutely everybody, including myself, expected us to kick on. And we didn't. We literally did not kick on whatsoever. And I don't know what happened. Like, except for bringing in the likes of Perisic to play left wing back when it didn't work. We didn't suit three at the back. This season, it just wasn't working. We never improved. We needed another centre-back. We got Clement Longley, and if you guys have seen my short on TikTok, you'll know my honest opinion of Clement Longley. And Dyer, we never, ever, ever replaced. Dyer is such dead wood, and he's been a good servant for Spurs, but what were we expecting when we have someone like Dyer at the back? Romero has had his good moments, but he's also young and he's been rash. Like, I thought we had a very, very good World Cup, but he's underperformed for Spurs at the majority of the time. And I've struggled to understand what it will be to make him be better. It is probably the players around him. I will say, give the benefit of the doubt to Romero. It is probably the players around him. But I've also been disappointed with some of the times he's played. Been rash in the challenge. He's got himself sent off. Needless fouls, needless yellow cards, needless penalties. And there is time to go. He is still only 24, so there is obviously time for him to improve. But you just don't expect to see it. You really don't. And for a guy that we bought for over 40 million, I expected more. I really have. And we'll move on to Deke and Bentancur really quickly, but they, especially in that January area when we brought them in, they were absolutely phenomenal. Deke literally broke records that only De Bruyne has broke. They broke a record that Robin held for a very long time. The youngest player, I think, under 21 to contribute to 15 plus goals, whether that's assists or goals. Bentancur looked like an absolute steal for 16 million euros that we played for him. He looked absolutely brilliant. Same with Deke, who we've got on loan, and I think we'll probably sign in the summer, but I expect a cut price. I really do, especially 34 million that they're wanting for him. I think that will go down because we've, at the moment, looking like we're not going to get Europe. But let me know in your comments, guys, below who you feel is the worst manager that we've had since Poch. Who you feel is the worst manager that we've had? I think for me this season as well, it kind of fell apart the moment some of the bad results came in. We had the likes of Bentancur injured, Kulusevski was out of form, Son has been very out of form. We were constantly conceding silly and needless goals. We just never looked good at the back defensively. And the moment Conte dug out his players, that was it. Like, that was it. Our season fell apart. You would have thought, Levy, if you're gonna sack someone of Conte's caliber, you're gonna replace him. Like, why have you not replaced him? Should have replaced him straight away. And that is a massive issue. We'll swiftly move on now to who I feel are the two running candidates for the managerial position at Spurs. Whether they'll want to come here is to be seen. Levy, you're going to have a lot. You're going to have a lot to do in the summer, and you have to prove that you can. I do think it'll be very hard to actually get a manager in, especially if Kane comes out and says he wants to leave. Like, if Kane comes out and says that, either at the end of the season or in the next week or two, I will be surprised if we can manage to get Arne Slot from Feyenoord or Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique, guys, you need to remember he's been Spain's manager, been Barcelona's manager, and I don't understand why they would come here when you've not got the likes of Harry Kane in your team. I don't get it. If they do, and Kane stays, that's different. We'll see what happens next season. But guys and girls, I'm struggling to understand how we're going to improve from this season, or how we're going to look any better. I don't get it. There is, like I say, there is so much going on in the club that is awful from the top down. Like, it really is, and there is a massive change that needs to happen. I don't know whether that's a complete rebuild, whether that's the club to be sold. I don't know what that is, but something needs to happen, because as Spurs fans, we can all agree we're sick of seeing this. We cannot keep watching our team play the way it is. I think you pay a minimum of like £45 a game, if not more, to go watch Tottenham play, and that is the kind of performances they're putting in. Mason is probably in with an outside shot to be manager next season, and I'm sorry, Mason, like, I loved you as a player. You were always hardworking, you were committed. I don't want to see you as our manager next. I want someone who has experienced, who will bring in players. I want attacking football. I don't want to watch this defensive that we've had to watch for the last season. I want attacking football. I want a good manager in who will promote the youth. We've got some youth talent. Look at the lads. They've won the Premier League Cup. They've won the Premier League. Like, we genuinely need to start promoting the youth. Yes, they'll probably make some rash decisions. Yes, they'll probably be inexperienced at times, but we need to go back to our roots. We have always been a club that has promoted the youth. Look at the likes of Gareth Bale. Yes, we bought him from Southampton, but he played for us for God knows how long. Harry Kane. You know, we've had the players that have been our youth players and have gone on and been brilliant. Like, for me, I don't understand why we've stopped doing that. I really don't. You had Danny Rose, you've had Kyle Walker. Yes, we've probably got them from other teams. There's been other teams that we've got these players from, but we've developed those players. It's no different to what Klopp has done at Liverpool. No different to what Arteta's doing at Arsenal. Why have we just forgotten our DNA? Bought irrationally, and just forgot everything that we are. The club is in a bad state. It really is. I'm going to hopefully be doing a stream soon with a couple of outsiders who will happily talk about the club and just ask me my opinion, and we'll discuss things. But I just don't understand the road that Tottenham is on. I don't get it, and I'm looking to see a proper direction from the club, whether it's who they appoint as manager, who they appoint as sporting director. They haven't even solved that. It's just the club is in a dire state, and it needs to change. It really does. But for me, again, it's between Arne Slot and Luis Enrique, and I would personally go with Luis Enrique. He's been Spain's manager. To be honest, he struggled there. He did. But he's been Spain's manager. He's been Barcelona's manager. I know he had unlimited funds, and Barca are a completely different animal. But I've watched his football. They play nice football. Yes, they will play free at the back. He'll probably bring in the players to be able to play free at the back. Romero can play free at the back. If anyone remembers Romero at Atlanta, they'll know he played in the middle of a back three. Was comfortable. He controlled the back line. He was good there. We haven't had that same player here yet. We've had glimpses of Romero, but still he's not been the player we all expected him to be. His first season he looked very good. Had injury problems this season. Had an amazing World Cup. I watched Argentina throughout the World Cup. He was brilliant. But we need a player who will help. We need a manager that will help develop players like him. Help develop some youth players and bring in talent that will fit their system. Not what we've done. Conte's. I get that. I get why he brought in Perisic. He played under Conte. Fit the system. He didn't want Langley. He wanted Bastoni from Inter. Inter were unwilling to let him go. We had other targets. Probably Daniel Levy was like, no, sorry. Brought in Basuma. Basuma made sense. Basuma was brilliant at Brighton. Young, hungry centre mid. He just hasn't fit the mould at Spurs as of yet. He had his injury problems too, but he's not worked. And I hope he stays and kind of kicks on next season. We'll see. He brought in Richarlison, who. This is the last topic I'm going to talk about, guys, but he bought in Richarlison for 50 million from Everton. I honestly feel they had our pants down that signing. I don't get what we were thinking with Richarlison. It's a myth. I don't understand the logic behind him. Was you going to play two up front and have him feed off Kane? What was the plan? He has been a shadow of the player he was at Everton or Watford. And I have been ashamed to watch it. I mean, it's been painful. The guy can't stay on side. He loses the ball. He's always on the floor. For me, he is the flop of the season. You can let me know in the comments who you feel is Tottenham's flop of the season, because I'm keen to know everybody's opinions. But for me, it's been him. 50 million from Everton to score one Premier League goal. Yes, you've had a few that were offside, and probably some closer than they should have been offside-wise, but it's been shambolic. I'm sorry, it really has. On top of that as well, he's just struggled to actually maintain a spot in the team. Like, I get you're playing on the wing, you're a striker, and you're playing on the wing. It's not working, but just not been that impressed. I mean, for me, like, he had such a good World Cup, such a great World Cup. Like, he looked good. But you're playing for Brazil. Look at the talent in that Brazil squad, and it just didn't work. It did not work at all, and it's sad to see, because I was hopeful. He was good at Watford. You know, he was good at Everton. Probably, I think he was averaging a goal every couple of games. And he looked good at Watford. He was their main man, though. And then obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin came in. He shifted to the wing a bit. But he still played well. And it just hasn't worked here. Really hasn't. And if he stays or goes, I'm not going to be too aggravated if he leaves. I don't know whether if he stays, you've got to move him up front. Like, that is his position. But it's honestly not worked. And this season has been horrible for Spurs. And we do need a massive reset. And I genuinely... Spurs fans, I'm sorry to say this, I don't know where we're going. I do not know the avenue for Spurs. I don't know the plan of action. It looks like we're lost, you know? But it does stem from the top down. It really does. If you guys want to see more podcasts, there's going to be more podcasts coming in weekly. We'll be discussing different things. But let me know in the comments your honest thoughts of Tottenham's season. Let me know who you feel has been the flop of the season. Let me know whether you think Kane will stay or go. Don't forget to like, comment, and share the podcast with everybody. We'll be doing more of these each week. So, again, from Tyler at Footy Focus. Stay tuned to the podcast going forward. Any topics you want me to talk about, I'll happily talk about. We'll have some collabs hopefully coming up over the next few weeks, the next few months. So stay tuned for those. But let me know what you think in the comments below of Tottenham's season. Where you think the direction is going to be for us. Do you think Kane will leave or stay? And who was the flop of the season? Have a great weekend, guys. And I will catch you in the next one.